College football is back, and so is Big 14 Football, your number one source for everything Big Ten football related. Week 0 kicked off this past Saturday, marking the official return to football across this great land. Although this podcast focuses mainly on the Big Ten Football Conference, none of those teams played this past Saturday. Instead, we're going to switch gears a bit and talk about college football as a whole and highlight a few teams and players that stood out on opening weekend. Big 14 will conclude by taking a look ahead to the Big Ten season opener coming up this weekend. A few top 25 teams kicked off the 2023 college football season this past weekend, all of them also getting their first win of the year. A couple Heisman hopefuls were on full display this weekend, trying to make a case as to why they're the best in college football. Week 0 kicked off with an international matchup of two football teams that are very familiar with each other. Number 13, Notre Dame traveled to the Emerald Isle, Ireland, to take on the midshipmen of the U.S. Naval Academy. This was the kickoff game for all of college football and the second time these two teams have met abroad. Notre Dame quarterback and Heisman hopeful Sam Hartman and the Irish offense were on full display all day, quickly dismantling Navy's defense. The star transfer from Wake Forest put up solid numbers in his Irish debut, completing 19 out of 23 passes for 251 yards and 4 touchdowns. Also making a solid case for his Heisman Trophy candidacy while trying to lead the Irish back to the college football playoff. Next up for the Irish, Tennessee State. Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Williams and number 6 USC were also on display Saturday night, taking on and defeating the Spartans of San Jose State. Williams and the Trojan offense struggled a bit during the first half, as did the USC defense, but an explosive second half saw the Trojans bury the Spartans for good. Williams completed 18 out of 25 passes for 285 yards and 4 touchdowns, leading USC to a 56-28 victory over San Jose. This weekend, USC takes on Nevada. Jacksonville State made its FBS debut in stellar fashion, taking on and defeating University of Texas El Paso 17-14 in a closely contested football game. The Gamecocks defense was the star of this game, forcing the Miners to turn the ball over 3 times, including on the final drive of the game with 1:15 left in regulation. Jacksonville State cannot go to a bowl game this year due to its first year in the FBS, but can continue to make a case for itself in the future. Jacksonville State takes on East Tennessee State this weekend. The University of Massachusetts opened the 2023 season with a win, which is a big deal for the Minutemen, especially when you consider in the past 4 seasons they've gone a combined 3-35. UMass had 3 takeaways and was able to amass 468 total yards, nearly tying its school record for most yards in a game. They also defeated New Mexico State 41-30. UMass has an uphill battle this weekend, taking on the Auburn Tigers. A little bit of news to report this week in the Big Ten. Head coach Jim Harbaugh and the University of Michigan impose a 3-game ban for its Level 1 violation in recruiting. Harbaugh is accused of providing false or misleading information to the NCAA, which is considered a Level 1 violation. Harbaugh contacted 2 prospects during the dead recruiting period and held Michigan practices with too many coaches on the field. 4 assistants will split head coaching duties during Harbaugh's 3-game absence. These include offensive coordinator coach Sharon Moore, defensive coordinator Jesse Minter, special teams coordinator Jay Harbaugh, and running backs coach Mike Hart. The NCAA is still ongoing in its investigation of wrongdoings within the Michigan football program. Harbaugh, who is 59, is 74-25 since taking over at Michigan in 2015, and this includes 2 Big Ten football titles in 2021 and 2022. Big Ten Week 1 officially kicks off this week with 12 games scheduled for this Thursday, August 31st, including a Big Ten matchup. Minnesota will play the Nebraska Cornhuskers on Thursday night. Michigan State takes on in-state competition and will play Central Michigan Friday night in its season opener. Here's a look at the other Big Ten matchups going on this weekend. Utah State will play number 25 Iowa. East Carolina will play number 2 Michigan. Fresno State visits Purdue. Townsend will play Maryland. Number 3 Ohio State will travel to Indiana. Buffalo takes on number 19 Wisconsin, and West Virginia will play a night game in Happy Valley against number 7 Penn State. Big 14 has 2 Big Ten games of the week for Week 1. Toledo takes on the Fighting Illini of Illinois in what looks to be a close game on paper. Toledo is a resilient team and has been, the last several years, taking teams to the limit in terms of desire and drive. Illinois is, however, favored by 9. The other game of the week features 2 of the worst teams in the Big Ten. Northwestern plays Rutgers to open the 2023 season. Neither team had a winning record last year, and not much looks to change this year. However, someone has to win. Rutgers is favored slightly in this matchup by 6.
You what?
College football in general kicks off across the country this week and weekend. Just like we have Big Ten games of the week, we also have a national game of the week. The Week 1 national game of the week will feature 2 teams with solid campaigns in 2022 trying to build toward an even better 2023. Number 5 LSU will take on number 8 Florida State in a top 10 matchup this Sunday, September 3rd. This game is a closely projected matchup, with it going either way by as little as 2 points. One of these teams are for real, and the other one is trying to redeem itself from previous seasons of disappointment. Big 14 has several players to watch this week in the Big Ten. Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy tries to solidify his Heisman candidacy with a strong outing against the Pirates of East Carolina. East Carolina had a top 50 defense last year, ranking 41st overall defensively. The Pirates' air defense was stellar last year, ranking in the top 25 and finishing the 22 season 19th overall, making this a little bit of a challenge for the senior quarterback. Ohio State wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. is the other player to watch this weekend. Harrison averaged 16 yards per catch last season and totaled 1,262 receiving yards with 14 touchdowns. Ohio State plays a Hoosier defense that finished near the bottom in the nation in terms of ranking. Overall, they were 110th. Its pass defense was better, but not by much, ranking 72nd nationally. Both McCarthy and Harrison could have big days statistically this weekend.
Hello there.
Even though most Big Ten teams haven't played a single down yet, there are still a few teams reporting some injuries before kickoff of the 23 season. Iowa quarterback Cade McNamara, a transfer from Michigan, is listed as questionable Saturday with a quadricep injury. 3 Iowa wide receivers are also listed as questionable with undisclosed injuries. Nebraska is announcing 2 players listed as probable for Saturday, its running back and a wide receiver. Nebraska also announced 3 more players are confirmed out for the season. Ohio State announced yesterday their tight end B. Christian is suspended for the season. Purdue also announced yesterday 2 players are listed as questionable for Saturday, their tight end G. Miller and offensive lineman Jay Clattenburger. Wisconsin has been bitten by the injury bug big this year and already has 7 Badgers listed as either probable, questionable, doubtful, or out indefinitely for Saturday's matchups.
You what?
A few predictions for these upcoming Big Ten games this past weekend, and these are not solid. This is just my personal opinion. Nebraska will defeat Minnesota 28-23. Michigan State will handle Central no problem 35-14. Iowa should beat Utah State by a score of 24-14. U of M will wipe the floor with East Carolina 42-10 will be the final. Purdue and Fresno State will be close, but the Boilermakers will come out on top 21-17. The Terrapins will beat Townsend by a big margin, 38-3. Ohio State will never let Indiana get off the bus, 48-7 Ohio State. Wisconsin will struggle early on, but will ultimately pull away from Buffalo, 38-17. Somebody has to win this game, and it's not going to be Northwestern. Rutgers wins easily, 24-3. Toledo and Illinois will be close until it isn't, and Toledo will win 31-21. Penn State and West Virginia will go back and forth, but the Nittany Lions will ultimately prevail and win this game 35-21. Big Ten upsets are nothing new, and in fact you can say with almost 100% accuracy that an upset involving a Big Ten team will happen at some point this season. However, some upsets stand out more than others. Here's a quick look back at 3 of the biggest upsets in Big Ten history. Our number 3 Big Ten upset. In 2000, Michigan traveled to Northwestern. Gone was the Wildcats' magic of 1995 and 1996. Northwestern was now running the spread option, and no Big Ten team had an answer. Up 51-46 with less than a minute, it looked like the Wolverines had figured out Northwestern's powerful offense. However, a late Michigan fumble by Anthony Thomas gave the Wildcats another chance, and they didn't disappoint. They quickly scored a touchdown in the closing seconds, winning 54-51 and a share of the 2000 Big Ten title.
Hello there.
Our number 2 Big Ten upset of all time also happened in the year 2000. Ohio State was at Purdue. Purdue and Drew Brees were humming along nicely in the year 2000 and looked like a serious Big Ten title contender. Ohio State came to town and quickly dashed any hope for Purdue, picking off Drew Brees, a future Hall of Famer, 4 times. Despite this, Purdue only trailed 27-24 with a little over 2 minutes left in the game when they got the ball back. Drew Brees calmly led a Boilermaker comeback, topped off with a late touchdown, handing Purdue a share of the 2000 Big Ten title that year. And our number 1 Big Ten upset of all time happened in 2007. Number 5 U of M was already being crowned national champions before they had even taken a snap, when they paid the Appalachian State Mountaineers $400,000 to come to Ann Arbor for Michigan's season opener. Even though Michigan had its fair share of talent, including NFL caliber talent that year, they overlooked their opposition and pictured an easy win. App State was no pushover, however, having won the last 2 FCS national titles and was considered the powerhouse in the FCS. Appalachian State stuck around all game and then with 26 seconds left kicked the go-ahead field goal to take the lead 34-32. Michigan would march downfield and set themselves up for the game-winning field goal with just 6 seconds left. However, Corey Lynch of Appalachian State beat his man on special teams, tore across the field, and blocked the game-winning field goal, securing the win for the Mountaineers and upsetting the University of Michigan Wolverines in what has been considered the biggest and most substantial upset in college football history. Big 14 has 2 players this week to announce as Players of the Week, one for offense and one for defense. Our offensive Big 14 Player of the Week goes to quarterback Sam Hartman of Notre Dame. A solid debut with some solid numbers and a win has the Irish buzzing in South Bend. On defense, this week's Player of the Week goes to DeRicky Wright, Vanderbilt. 3 solo tackles, 2 interceptions, a forced fumble, and a pass breakup make for a solid evening and secured a win for the Commodores. That is the conclusion of Big 14 football. Be sure to tune in next week for a brand new podcast as we update you to Week 1 and what took place. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to tune in next week, and Big 14 will be sure to bring you all the football you can handle.